Greetings, everyone, from the kitchen this time. So I got this really cool thing that I want to share with you. And I know I missed my normal greeting, but here's the deal. I just feel like the Lord is saying this, and it's really cool. And I mean, I'm still in prayer about a lot of this stuff. I'm just in an open relationship with the Lord to just hear more. But I just feel led to share these things. And I feel like the Lord is saying, I'm giving you the daffodil. Okay? And not just one, but two. And so there's a double glory on this. There's a double portion on this word, right? In the arid wastelands, I got this from searching this out. It says, in the arid wastelands, narcissus flowers, not that we're narcissistic or self about ourselves or anything, but it's called the narcissus flower. So there's different varieties of this particular flower, right? But the narcissus flowers are said to have delighted people after long seasons of want and wait. So the daffodil that God is speaking of prophetically, metaphorically, is something given to those who've been living in the arid wastelands, in the wildernesses. It is a flower, kind of like that show The Bachelor, where they give, here, you can have the rose, and you can have the rose. Well, the Lord's going around, he's saying, here, you can have the daffodils, and there's given you two of them. So there's a double glory on this. But it's given to those who have been in long seasons of want and wait. Long seasons of want and wait. And it's designed to be a symbol of delight. Okay? In Isaiah 35, 1 through 2, we find this kind of narcissus flower called, in my version, it's called an autumn crocus. And now an autumn crocus, the thing about the narcissus flower, it blossoms in late autumn and late winter. That's where we're at right now. We're getting ready to head into late winter right now, right? Listen to what, now I'm reading the Amplified. This is all I read, basically. I read the NIV sometimes and all these different translations. I see them, but it's like, this is the one that just fits me. I just like it. It just speaks to me, you know? And so, in Isaiah 35, 1 through 2, check this out. It says, the wilderness and the dry land shall be glad. The desert shall rejoice and blossom like the rose and the autumn crocus. Or you might say the daffodil. Maybe that's like a common name for that flower in the ancient world, you know? It shall blossom abundantly. So it's not just going to blossom, it's going to blossom abundantly. And rejoice even with joy and singing. Now that's verse 1 and part of verse 2. One of the things the Lord gave me was, he said, it was like, this is what kind of came to me, okay? It's like the wilderness, and he put Hannah in there, and the dry land. Then he put Elizabeth in there. You know, Zechariah and Elizabeth, who gave birth to John. These are both barren women. Hannah was praying. She was in a long season of want and wait. Elizabeth was in a long season of want and wait. But they were both wilderness and dry land people. They lived in arid wastelands of not being mothers, you know? I'm sure Elizabeth kind of gave up the idea that she ever would be. Probably a long time before. But God's like, I haven't given up, you know? And then the desert. When it says the desert shall rejoice and blossom like the rose and autumn crocus. The desert, the Lord said to me, the barren woman of Isaiah 54. says, "Rejoice, O barren one who did not have children, because you will have children, but at the time you have them, they are going to be extremely significant. They're going to be not just the normal thing that happens. They're not just going to be statistics that you give birth to. You're going to give birth to significant individuals that have specific special anointings, and they're going to go forth and do great things." Hannah gave birth to Samuel. Elizabeth gave birth to John, who in and of themselves were extremely similar. Hannah gave birth to Samuel, who you might say was the last of the judges in the time of Judges. He was the prophet that was the transitional man of God who shut the door on one era and gave birth to a new era called the Kings. And he was the prophet who anointed the first king of Israel. And he was the prophet who then, once the Saul didn't work out, he anointed the restorative form of the king, which is David, who went on to be a Christ-like figure, right? Now, that man came from a place of barrenness called Hannah, his mom. In like manner, John the Baptist was the last of the Old Testament prophets. He was a transitional figure, like Samuel. He was a transitional figure. He was a hinge on a door of history. And he shut the door on the Old Testament prophet way of doing things, but he also was someone who presented the king and opened the door to inaugurate the king. He literally baptized Jesus in the same way that Samuel anointed Saul and King David. Both of them came from barren places. They were born out of the barren womb, that was obviously no longer barren. And so the Lord is saying to you, I'm giving you the daffodil, 2 of them. That means there's a double portion. There's a double glory on this word. Okay? And it says, "It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing." Meaning God is getting ready to turn your arid wasteland, your wilderness, and your dry land, and your long season of want and wait, my God, into a place of gladness, into a place of rejoicing, and into a place of blossoming, and into a place of abundant blossoming, and into a place where there's so much rejoicing. You're just going to be singing. There's going to be joy in singing. Now, here's the second part of it, because I feel like the Lord is saying, this glory that I'm about to impart to my people, that I'm about to release to my people, is going to come from 3 different places. Here it is in the rest of Isaiah 35, verse 2. "The glory of Lebanon shall be given to it, the excellency of Mount Carmel, and the plain of Sharon." Do you see that? The glory of Lebanon, the excellency of Mount Carmel, and the plain of Sharon. Now, Lebanon, that's where they got all these amazing cedar trees to build the house of the Lord. Mount Carmel, that's super famous for a lot of things, particularly like the dwelling place of Elijah, and I think the prophets of Baal showdown went there. I'm not sure. Someone maybe correct me on that, but it's a pretty popular place in the history of God, right? And then the plain of Sharon. So it's like, I feel like the Lord's like, it's going to come from, and I don't necessarily know exactly what this means. That's what I mean when I say I'm praying into it. I don't know exactly, but it's like the glory of Lebanon. This is where the forest of the cedar trees and all that, there's just going to be an abundance that comes from a place that's already wealthy. Okay, and then the excellency of Mount Carmel, like it's going to come from a high place, right? But then it's also going to come from a valley place. I don't really know what all that means, but this is what it says. It says, but I really felt like the Lord says this glory is coming from 3 different places. That I'm pretty sure of. I'm like almost 100% that the Lord's like, it's going to come from 3 different places, and it's going to be 3 separate manifestations of the glory of the Lord released into the body of Christ, released to the people of God. And this is what the promise is. They shall see the glory of the Lord, the majesty and splendor and excellency of our God. Oh my gosh. Do you see that? The majesty, the splendor, and excellency. Excellency. So you've got Lebanon, Mount Carmel, and the plain of Sharon. And the glory of Lebanon shall be given to it. The excellency of Mount Carmel and the plain of Sharon. There's maybe some majesty. Majesty, you just roll out the red carpet on the plain, right? But they shall see the glory of the Lord. Who's they? The wilderness and the dry land and the desert. The Hannahs, the Elizabeths, and the barren woman. Now, it's not just women that the Lord's talking about here, but he's talking about those who are in birth to something. But it could have a specifically a women kind of angle to it, because even in our family, it's Michelle who's just, she's in labor, she is like birthing this thing, you know. She's never had a home of her own. She's been married for 16 years. She's a mother of 4. She's never had a home of her own. We've had apartments and stuff like that, but the journey that we're on and the joy that's set before us, which is a home of our own, she's never had that. And she wants to build it. God's put it on her heart to, let's build, let's make plans. And she's been working on plans. I mean, that is where she's been. She has been like in labor. She has been breathing and in and out all day long. God just on her to labor and birth this vision, you know. So in a sense, physically in our family, that's actually happening. You know, the barren woman is in labor. The one who didn't have all the normal stuff that everyone else has, she's in labor for God to bring about a glory that's greater. She has lived like no one else, so now God's getting ready to birth through her a glory that we're going to all experience because of God. We shall see the glory of the Lord, the majesty and splendor and excellency. 3 levels of glory. Whoa. And it's really the prophetic symbolism is happening with Michelle. Because she's just, that's why you guys haven't seen her in such a long time. Because she just, you know, when you're in labor, you don't be doing videos. I know you breathing heavy, you trying to birth something, and it's like, here, let's do a video. No. I mean, some people do that, honestly, who are vloggers, and I'm not judging it or anything like that, but that's just not happening in this instance for us. And so, again, I just feel like that's what the Lord's saying. He's like, I'm giving you the daffodil. So it's like you can see there's a double glory, but then there's also a triple. It's like a double triple or a triple double, you know. It's really awesome. I don't even know how to discern it right. I mean, because I don't see it fully. You know, we prophesy in part and we know in part, right? So there is a triple glory from 3 different places, but I believe there's a double glory on all of these places. There's a double glory from Lebanon. There's a double glory from Mount Carmel. There's a double glory from the plain of Sharon, because people might idolize these specific physical places, but God's like, I made those places. I'm the one I will give you my glory, my majesty, my splendor, my excellency, you know, and then you're going to revel in that, you know? So let the good Lord hit you, okay? With the glory that's going to get you. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious. Like, wow, this is really, 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 really awesome. And I just, yeah. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. And I just pray that blesses you abundantly, because, man, there's about to be some cool stuff happening. This whole 3 bonus months that we're in, that God's kind of tying into 2024, sort of. It's just been so much of this stuff that I'm sharing with you right now. It's just like, wow, so much preparation, so much decorating the cake. It's like the cake's already done for us. The icing's on the cake even for us. But God's just, as far as like what he's wanting to do and what he's ready to do and how he's prepared our hearts to go into the next thing that he's going to have us go into, in the same way that he had us go from Kansas City into Nashville the way we are right now. It's like, but he's just now going around and doing all the decorating of the cake, you know? Because you don't want to, because some people, it's cool to have this chic, plain cake. But even those, they do all this sheen work to it and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? But man, God's just decorating all of us with just decorating the cake with all these flowers and blossoms and just all kinds of cool stuff, so that when it is presented at the wedding day, where the long-awaited promise marries the person that's been waiting long for the promise to come, it's just going to be a glorious time, you know? So I just pray that bless you guys, and until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.